The session this morning is going to cover our Luxaflex silhouette shadings. This is a product that's been in our offer for many, many years now, and it forms an integral part of our overall soft shades category. Silhouette shadings feature that soft fabric veins that are suspended between two sheer layers of fabric or two sheer sheets of fabric. Silhouette's all about creating that soft light and view with the S-Vein design. Now the S-Vein design is all about refracting the light to give us that soft, very elegant look that we get with a silhouette. So it's all about toning down the harsh, bright light and giving it that diffused, soft look. It really can create that alluring soft beauty in any room, particularly in bathrooms or even kitchens where you've got hard surfaces like tiles. Now, the UV protection from Silhouette is also quite outstanding. We receive 88% UV protection when we have the veins in the open position and 99% UV protection when the veins are in the closed position. So they really can preserve the furnishings and floors from fading and discoloration. So they're all about light, but they can protect from the harmful UVs. Wonderful product, no cords, no tapes, there's no obstruction to outside views. Those two sheer sheets of sheer fabric which suspend the veins are two different openness levels. The sheet facing the outside of the window is slightly more open, helping to increase your view through to inside looking out and limit the view through from outside looking in. Obviously that exterior white sheer also helps reflect the sun's heat. Now Silhouette are not a blockout product. The opacity comes in either a translucent or a room darkening, but even a warm glow of light will still filter through a room darkening fabric. The room darkening fabrics certainly help reduce the glare and the light, and whilst they provide complete privacy, will not provide total darkness. Vein size, Silhouettes come in three vein sizes: 75, 65, and 50mm vein sizes. And certainly in recent years, the 75mm vein size certainly seems to be becoming more and more popular. The 65mm veins live in our living range, so that yellow section in your price book, in your swatching sampling book. Now you've got all the usual control options that you know with soft shades. Obviously light rise, the cordless manual operation, move the blind to where you need it to be. Obviously with the vein operation, you'll have a little clear plastic handle on the bottom of the Silhouette, which will enable you to tilt the veins to where you want them. But again, being light rise and no cords, practicality of being able to reach the top and the bottom of the shade needs to be considered to make sure that your consumer can easily use the product. And then you've got your Easy Rise, which is your looped cord. You have your Ultra Glide. We'll be installing an Ultra Glide version 2 here shortly, and I'll talk about that a bit more. And then you have your Power View. So again, like all the soft shade products, you have Power View option for Silhouette. So the battery pack or your DC power pack, and then your remote controls with the Pebble, and then the addition of the hub can provide that full home automation for your Luxaflex Silhouette shadings. Now measuring for Silhouette. Silhouette, whether it be Ultra Glide, Easy Rise, Light Rise or Power View, is all measured the same. If we're on face, the width we would measure edge to edge and take no deduction. On the drop, we'd recommend you take 5. In a reveal scenario, which we've got behind me and which we'll fit into shortly, you take 5mm off the width and 5mm off the drop. Corners, bay windows and those sorts of scenarios, Silhouette can work quite well there. With a corner face, you have a through deduction of 5mm and a butting deduction of 86. Now all this is listed both in the SkillTech manual and the price list, and also in the quick reference measuring guide that's on your dealer portals. If you're doing corner in reveal, you would have your through and you would add 83mm, and your butting blind you would take off 5mm. And the width for bay window deductions are there as well, as -35, -65 on the centre blind, and -35 on the right hand blind. Bay in reveal, -5, -5, but the centre blind, there is no deduction required. Again, strongly refer you strongly recommend you refer to your documentation when you're doing those, or you give the office a call and talk it through. Now, we're obviously pretty keen to get vane alignment wherever we can. Obviously, being a horizontal soft vane product, getting vane alignment is important for any customer. And we will try and get that vane aligned to within 3 millimeters if we know that those shades are side by side. But they must be ordered at the same time. They need to be of the same fabric style, color, vane size, same opacity, and the same drop. So if you've got reveal mounted shades and the ordered heights are within 5 millimeters of one another, you need to order both shades using the smaller of the two height measurements. You still then need to tell us that they are side by side. Factory will make them, they'll hang them side by side, and they'll do everything they can to get those vanes to align within that 3 millimeters. The end caps was a bit of a redesign with Silhouette throughout 2016. The end caps are actually now clear, and there is a color coordinated snap-on cover which can be easily removed if there's any repairs or any replacement necessary. There are a lot of accessories as well that are used across the Silhouette shadings, which creates some uniformity across other products. Now, what we're going to do now quickly is install our Silhouette. We've got an Ultra Glide version 2. This was referred to as the click and walk away because it had that click the cord once, walk away, the shade would come down and it would open. We've gone with 75 millimeter original in white diamond. We're going to have light gaps, obviously. With corded product, Ultra Glide and Easy Rise, you'll have a light gap on the control side of 13 millimeters and on the non-control side of 7 millimeters. If you want to fully mount the shade within a reveal, you'll need a mounting depth of 83 millimeters. Now, Silhouette is a nice product. It has a beautifully shaped head box, looks just as good on face as it does in reveal. So obviously if you don't have a fully assessed reveal, consider putting them on face. But what we'll do is we'll install our Silhouette click and walk away Ultra Glide version 2. Now, I have already pre-installed my brackets here. This is the standard Silhouette installation bracket. It has a little gate on it, and it also comes with 2 tabs here. Okay. Now, obviously, if we're ceiling fitting or top fitting, as we are here, you can break off that top tab. Any installer, I recommend you hold on to them. They make fantastic little packers for all sorts of things. You know, you've got about a 2 to 2.5 mil packer there. You can build up a stock of those. They can be quite useful. You can break that tab off there. No need to break the bottom tab off, but you can break the top tab off there. That bottom tab there is designed so that if the shade is raised quickly or abruptly, it will stop the fabric from flicking back up and catching on what could be a sharp edge. So don't remove that bottom tab there unless you were fitting on face. If you were fitting on face, you would break off both of those tabs. Okay, so we've marked in between 50 and 75 millimeters from each end. We've marked into where we're going to install our bracket. And obviously, depending on what you're screwing into, you use the appropriate fixings. Predominantly internal products is probably getting fitted into timber, so you're going to use a 35 to 50 millimeter long wood screw. We use different fittings here in our installation house because we fit and remove multiple times. So we've mounted the brackets there. Now, these are the same brackets as well that you use when you're installing a pirouette. So there's some commonality now with brackets, so certainly a good thing to see that in the soft shade development in the US, where they can use one bracket for multiple products, they certainly want to try and do that. So what I'm going to do is, I've got my Silhouette Ultra Glide version 2, click and walk away. I've unwrapped it, I've undone the cord, but I've also got a little orange lock here. Now, the lock is there so that in transit, the Ultra Glide mechanism doesn't release and the fabric start to unroll. We've rolled the fabric up in the factory. We want to keep it nice and taut. So with that orange lug in position, I can't actually operate the shade. I'm actually going to leave that in position until I've popped it into the brackets. So I've got my brackets. Now I've mounted my brackets so that the white front part of my bracket is actually flush with the outside of my reveal. Now that will give me the head box protruding out 5 or 6 millimeters. That's the look that I want, so that's what I've decided to do. I'm actually going to remove that orange little cap because I'm in a reveal here. It's actually easier to pull that off prior to popping that into the bracket. So I'm just going to pop that back in. My Ultra Glide silhouette is installed. Now obviously being Ultra Glide, it's single retractable cord. Child safety issue obviously is being managed. We still put our warning tag on the label, but there's no cord tensioning device need to be fitted on this product. It's now installed. I'm going to click and walk away as we talk about from a marketing perspective. So the shade lowers and goes to the fully open position. Ultra Glide 2.0, click and walk away, is much softer, much smoother, much lighter to operate than the previous Ultra Glide system. And the previous Ultra Glide system, it was pump action up, pump action down. This, click and walk away, shade comes down, goes to the open position, click back, like an Ultra Glide in a duet. You are clicking and engaging a pull cord assembly, but clicking there, and then I can raise the shade. Remember guys, with silhouette, same as pirouette, you have to take the shade all the way to the lowest point before you can open the vanes. Beautiful, soft, elegant silhouette. Lots of our silhouettes now, with a lot of our new fabrics, do come with fabric covered head rails. In this scenario where we have a powder coated aluminium head rail, I don't have a protective covering there. If I had a fabric covered head rail, that would be covered in plastic, and before you popped it into the bracket, you would just start to peel the fabric away, and when you've got the shade completely into the bracket, just peel off that plastic covering as the very last thing that you do. A couple of things that you need to know, and obviously some other little options and accessories you can get. But firstly, if we've got a shade here that is raising or lowering unevenly, or causing the fabric to rub on one side of the head rail, there's a couple of adjustments that you can make here. Okay, so even if when I raise the shade, if I'm finding the bottom rail not tucking nicer as that one did, if it doesn't tuck nice and neatly into the head box, if it's sitting a little bit skew-if, you have some adjustments you can make on this product which are really, really simple and easy. And the first one is on the back of the actual bottom rail. And you can see here, I have obviously a powder coated extruded bottom rail, but in the center piece, there is a weight bar, which will actually slide along and help to track the shade. With a flat bladed screwdriver, you can unlock that cam lock and move it, we say about 25 millimeter, toward the side where the fabric is gathering. So we can actually play with a weight there to get the fabric to track better. But move it in small increments. Moving it a long way usually doesn't help you actually sort the problem out. But these are run in the factory. They are put on a hoist. They are level in the factory. We do put that weight in the position we think it needs to be in. So there's lots of times you won't actually need to do that. Now this is not applicable, sorry Trev, this is not applicable for light rise shadings, because a light rise you're operating by hand and you're actually holding the bottom rail, and to some degree you're guiding the product along.
Now just a tip to installers when doing that. Say it is tracking to that side, so I'm going to move that cam lock
to that.
Don't touch that one.
Yep.
Leave it where it originally was, because sometimes when you do it, you overcorrect. You need to go back. At least you know where to start all over again. If you've moved both, you don't know where it was originally set at.
Yep.
Don't move the one on the opposite side to where it's tracking until you're satisfied that it's correct.
It is where you want it to be, because you'll forget where your starting point was. Now, if you have a situation where you have, and it can happen with narrower, say longer drop silhouettes, where it seems to be tracking really well, but then it gets to the top and all of a sudden it goes offline. There is another little tensioning device which is fitted to the top of the head rail, which adds a little bit of tension to the fabric. Now, this little device here, as I said, it's actually clipped on to the head rail. It actually is a guide there for the fabric, and you can actually lower that and raise that to either add a bit of tension or take a bit of tension off the fabric. Now, it will help the fabric roll up, and that will enable you to get those blinds that are like going up, 80% of the way, and then right at the end they sort of skew off a little bit. So you've got adjustment in that top fabric tensioner as well. Things like spacer blocks. Soft shades, we have spacer blocks, which will enable you to pack a product out if need be, if you're on face or you need to clear a window winder or a mullion in the window. Now, these 13mm spacer blocks essentially just sit on top of each other, and you can use a maximum of 5 of those to build out. You can also use a soft shade extension bracket if you need to build out as well. And this is a very sturdy, strong, nice white powder coated bracket that you can utilize again to project out. You can use a packer, a spacer block behind them as well, but I would probably recommend 2 would be the maximum if you were going to use that extension bracket. Now, Silhouette is a very soft, light, very elegant product. Nice for doors. It's good for doors because it's a light product and it doesn't move around a lot. So if you want to have hold down brackets, you've got a couple of options there with your Silhouette. Now, the magnetic hold down bracket is a simple little device. It's a nice, clear, L-shaped bracket which can be fitted either on face or off to the side, and it has a magnetized wheel there. But obviously, the aluminium, the base rail on a Silhouette's aluminium. So we need to slide in a little steel sleeve into that base rail that when it comes down will actually snap to it, and that will help hold that in position. So you have your magnetic hold down brackets that are available for your Silhouette. And then you have your traditional hold down brackets. Now, one of the great things about this one, or the design of this one, is that it will actually enable you to open and close the shade because there's a little, again, a arched end cap which goes into the actual end of the actual bottom rail, and it will actually pivot within the bottom fixing. So you can have your traditional hold down bracket and still have functionality out of the opening and the closing of the vanes. Now you can also get things like back and top covers for the Silhouette head box. Silhouette is an open head box. Obviously fitted in a reveal scenario, there's not a drama with obviously dust settling on the top. But if you're fitting on face and you're concerned about dust settling on the top, you can order up a cover strip for the top, and we also have a back cover strip as well, so that you don't have to see the back of the head box or the back of the fabric from outside the window. Now, these little brackets here, this is a piece of 50mm aluminium Venetian slat, and this is a bracket which will actually clip on. Where will get my bracket? I don't want to break off my tab there, but it actually will clip on to the back of your standard installation bracket. So if you want to cover the back of a Silhouette, you can certainly call up the back cover bracket and slat. So there's lots of different fittings and lots of different little, I guess, additions and accessories that are there for Silhouette that you may not have been aware of, and they're certainly able to be ordered when you order your product. Guys, that's Silhouette. It is, as I said, one of our, I guess, most reliable soft shade products. It's been in our range for a long time. 100% polyester. It's very durable. Like all of our soft shade products, lightly dusting, lightly vacuuming, keeping the dust and the dirt off the shade will obviously enable that shade to live for many, 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 many years. You have ultrasonic cleaning possible for the translucent fabrics. Gentle spot cleaning will really make this a product that will live in your home for many years to come. That's the end of the session, guys. That's our Silhouette